Hi, it's Marilyn Devonish here from transformationstm.com. And yeah, it's been an interesting and emotional 48 hours. And I've had moments where I've thought, how on earth did I get myself into this? Um, so it started off with this man here. Before Sunday, none of this even existed in my world. None of it existed in my psyche. So the very potted history of the backstory is I agreed to donate a day of my time to run a one-day workshop at an art gallery in London. The premise being that you run it at the art gallery, and that's why I chose Unleashing Your Creativity, because I wanted to choose something that was in alignment with the environment. And the premise is you run the workshop. Of course, then you're bringing new people to the space to see the work. Great, very straightforward. So I arrive, I get there early, I'm chatting to the guy called Colin who's running the gallery, and I can't even remember how we got onto the subject. But he said he starts talking about this particular painting, one that is amazing but has never sold. And he's talking about it as though it was in the past. And it's like, well, have you got the painting here? It wasn't up on display. So he goes behind like a cupboard or something, pulls it out of the cupboard and shows it to me. And at that moment, I was just like, oh my God, I love that painting. There was something about it that was completely mesmerizing to me. I also joked that I have, and I do really have a leopard print sofa. In the days where I used to see clients at home, it was called the change chair. So I have a leopard print sofa. So you walk into my living room, of course, it's the first thing that you notice. But, you know, that aside, there was something about the painting which I found both intriguing and haunting. And then Colin had said, well, I said, well, to be honest with you, I did not know who that man was until Sunday night stroke Monday morning, because it almost didn't come up in conversation. He told me it was painted by Mason Storm, the guy behind the mask. And for those of you who've never heard of Mason, if you've heard of Banksy, Mason Storm was the man who said that he was going to unveil Banksy in an oil painting. And actually what that did is it brought death threats. So, and that's when he started also wearing the mask. And he's been wearing that mask now since 2010. And apparently when he turned up at the gallery last week, he was still in full mask. So, you know, nobody nowadays knows what he's like. But, you know, that's kind of where it started. But I looked at the painting and absolutely loved it. There was just something about it that I found intriguing and interesting. And then we're just chatting about, you know, the gallery space. I don't know if you can see behind me, there are paintings all over the walls. And we were talking about, you know, the artists, the way they work, funding a gallery space, the amount of work that goes into doing that. And I was just thinking, how can I help? Of course, one of the ways I'm helping is to run the workshop, bringing people to the space, because every time you share a link and you tell people about it, they find out more about the gallery and what it's doing. And of course, one of the reasons that the exhibition, the gallery is actually up at the moment is they're selling all of those paintings. Now, the one I'm holding in this picture was not part of the show. It was in a cupboard. And he, you know, we talked about it, and I said, there's something about this man, there's something about the eyes. He explained that this man is no longer with us. He died actually coming up a year ago to the day. He died on the 12th of August 2017. And so we were also talking about some of the circumstances of that. And I was like, well, maybe that's what I'm seeing behind the eyes. So Colin then says, and it was kind of, well, I'd say these things are almost never throw, but it was kind of a throwaway comment where he says, well, you know, one of the ways you could really help is to buy the painting. And I said, how much is it? And he said, it's £4,500. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit over my budget in terms of what I could currently spend on a painting. And he says, well, why don't you crowdfund it and raise the money for us? And I sort of looked at him and I went, well, why would I do that? And why would anybody want to invest in? And he said, well, you're not raising the money for you, you're raising it for us. And I said, yeah, but what's, how does that benefit over? And so we had this kind of conversation. Then I start running the workshop, and Colin takes part in the workshop. And I'm taking them through some creative thinking exercises. I'm taking them through my instant creativity process. And I said, look, pick any issue or topic that you want to work on. And I'm going to show you how this particular process can be applied to anything. So Colin then says, well, I think the issue we should work on is crowdfunding to raise money for the gallery. So I'm laughing at this point. Anyway, as it rolls on, it went from being a completely mad, random, crazy idea to actually this idea has got legs, because one of the things we figured out is, over and above just purchasing the painting, there are ways that you could make the painting continue to work ad infinitum, creating work for future artists and work for printers. And so it went from, oh man, this is mad, to, well, possibly that could be. And the thing that also made me smile about it is like, do you know what? I can't stand here, because some of you would have seen me share the poster from the event, where, this is a poster, so it's going to be a practical and experiential, mind-expanding day with a series of coaching exercises, introspection pieces, meet and greet the artists, exploring creative motivations, discussing and implementing ways to expand your creativity and critical thinking and decision-making skills. And I thought, I cannot in good conscience run this workshop, be telling people to, push the boundaries and be more creative. And this was the poster that I'd created first of all, which was about the whole thing about mixing things up, what I call the smorgasbord of creativity. And I'm like, I can't now stand here in good conscience, having run this workshop, and then not act upon the creative idea that was born as a result of the workshop. That would just be ridiculous. That would be completely unauthentic. And quite frankly, it would make me a hypocrite. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. How do I do this? And what is the process for it? And that's the bit that I'm still figuring that piece out, because this all happened on Sunday. So if you're watching this in real time, today's only Tuesday. And so this all kicked off around about, I don't know, 2:30, 3 p.m. on Sunday. By Monday morning, I'd set up a crowdfunding page, never done it before in my life. And it's been growing and evolving. And as I've been kind of working with it today as well. So I set up the crowdfunding page, of course, shared the links on my Facebook page, shared the links on Twitter. Yesterday, I put out an e-newsletter as well, sharing that with people. And the thing that's been an emotional roller coaster about it, number one, there's a euphoria when because every time somebody donates, you receive an email. So there's a euphoria when you receive the email, like, oh my God, somebody's donated. But I'll be honest with you, there was also a sense of crushing disappointment this morning when I went to the GoFundMe page and I looked at the target that I put up of £5,000, and I looked at the amount of money that had been raised. And I was like, wow. So I've gone from euphoria and gratitude and appreciation for the people who have donated, and almost within a nanosecond, I've gone to crushing disappointment, because I'm looking at my target, I'm looking at the amount of raised, which in comparison is minuscule. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just freaking crazy. And I thought, you know what, I'm making this up as I go along, quite frankly. So today what I did is I rang the head of digital for GoFundMe. And what was really interesting is the questions I was asking them, they couldn't answer, because they've never thought about it and they've never looked at the metrics in the way that I was wanting them to look at the metrics. So that further reinforced the idea that I'm going to have to make this up myself, and I'm going to have to, figure it out and take charge. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. And if I think back to actually where it started, it was a very similar thing. I went from euphoria at seeing the painting and going, oh my God, there's something about it that is amazing. And quite frankly, Sunday night, Monday morning, I was doing some research, because I still came home. I was like, I don't know who the man in the painting is. I know who painted it. Now I know about Mason Storm, but I've no idea who the guy in the painting is. So I looked that up. And when I looked it up, I was like, oh my God, I can totally see now why I resonate with him. And it's going to sound crazy to say it, but it almost feels as though this endeavor, this campaign, is a way of also continuing his legacy. Because, and again, it was just, I mean, it's one of those goosebumps things. When I was there, looked at the painting for a few moments, kind of thought, oh my God, it's amazing. Then I looked around, they actually put it on the wall in the gallery. So if you now go to the gallery, it's the Crow's Nest Gallery on Crowthorne Road, London W10. The nearest state tube station is Latimer Road. It's now on the wall. And I was saying to one of the participants at the workshop, I said, what do you make of that painting? What does it say to you? What does it invoke within you? Because that's one of the introspective pieces we were doing while we were there. And, you know, she said a few things, and I made up this. She said, what does it say to you? And I just made up, well, it felt like I was making up a narrative. I didn't even know who the man was. He feels as though he is someone who, when he walks into the room, everyone would notice. And he could walk into this warehouse, because it currently the gallery feels a bit like a warehouse. I said, and I pointed to the door, I said he could walk into this warehouse now, and I pretty much guarantee that everyone there in the room would turn and look at him because of the energy he invokes. And I said, and I also suspect that both men and women find him attractive and charismatic, not necessarily because they think he's hot, although I have to be honest, there was something I found rather attractive about the painting as well. But I said, it's not just about that. It goes beyond the superficiality of looks. But for me, there's something about this painting and him as a person that I think would be charismatic to both men and women. And so I made up this narrative, didn't really give it any more thought. Came home on Monday and started reading the obituary pieces for him now. This time last year, the streets of London looked like a freaking celebrity who's who. Anyone who was everyone was at his funeral. I kid you not. It was like a roll call of the great and the good of the London and the American jet set. One of the pieces I found, which I thought was one of the, you know, they were all really moving. Actually, I think, if I pull it up, where did I put it? I think I put it in a blog, actually. So what I will do, I think, I get this to work. Actually, I should be able to screen share with you, and I'll show you the passage that I found. Because when I read it, it was pretty much exactly as I described. As I read how people were describing him, he was, when he died, people were saying they feel as though Soho, as in the area of London, they felt as though Soho had died. They felt as though a piece of London was gone forever. They felt as though the man who held the city together was now no longer part of it. And if you look at any of the pictures that surround his death, there are people, men and women, openly crying in the street. And so the little narrative that I made up about him, suddenly it was no longer just a crazy narrative. It was actually true. So let me see if I can screen share with you. Let's do that. You're probably seeing some crazy double screen stuff going on at the moment, but bear with me. So that's that. A bit about Mason Storm and the Banksy piece. Oh, here we are. So these are incumbents. So this is what I said. I said, I think the type of man, he walked in the room, people noticed. If he walked into this warehouse, we would all stop and turn, feeling his presence. He was charismatic and attractive to both men and women who found him intriguing. That's what I said. The next morning, I did some research, and this is what somebody said. The man, the legend, devoted his life to giving. His energy, his love, his kindness, and his divine eccentricity shone its light on everyone. If you felt small, broke, and bitter, there was a man in Soho who put you right. And so everything I had been kind of saying about him, not even knowing his name the day before, as I read the obituaries, they were saying exactly the same thing. It was just crazy. So in terms of talking to the gallery owner about how we can continue to create work out of the painting, it then went from that's this crazy idea to, do you know what, I'm going to do this. And I think that's the thing about, and of course, I mean, the standing joke was, I wasn't joking, actually. This is my leopard print sofa with the leopard print box that's actually next to it. So I wasn't joking when I said there was also a crazy thing about crazy leopard print. But that aside, frivolities aside, it went from, yeah, that could be interesting, to actually, I think there's a deeper idea here for me anyway, in terms of doing something that keeps his legacy alive. Because of course Soho, the Gaucho Club, which is he was the owner for I think 25 years, the patron, the lead guy. He was all about helping people. He was all about giving back. He was all about support. And I just thought, how wonderful would it be to now be able to use his likeness to continue to help people and to continue to give back. And so that's basically how I got myself into this. Let's see, actually, while I'm here on this page. So, of course, there's a GoFundMe page. It's www.gofundme.com/upcoming-artist.amp The Haunting Eye. It's a weird name, and I couldn't make it as long as I wanted to. So, was there on Sunday, meeting some of the artists. I'm probably going to go back, might be there on Saturday, if any of you are visiting the gallery on Saturday. But this is what I mean about the goal. £5,000 goal and £105 raised. That's a big gap. That's a big gap. So these are some of the artists. This is Colin, who, if you can see my cursor, this is Colin who talked me into doing the crowdfunding. This is Tally Northey, who is the one who's actually organised it. She's an advocate for autism, working on behalf of her son, and she also has these creative projects as well. And this is Vivek, one of the artists as well. We can't quite see his work on display. It's a little bit out of shot. And actually, this is my painting, which they then actually put up on the wall after I'd had the conversation with them and was so struck by the painting. Then other people came over and started looking at it as well and going, oh my God, it's amazing. They then put it up on the wall. So that, yeah, and the art is so diverse. And so the money for this painting will go to, number one, funding this gallery space. Because of course, when you hire this, they've hired it for the whole month. Somebody has to pay for that. It will also go to funding people like the artists you see here, in even just talking about what it costs to bronze a statue. I'm like, oh my God, really? So it's going to fund some of the artists in terms of their materials, and as things as basic as putting food on the table when they're in that creative space. So, there's a fair bit that's going to happen with that. This is a little taster of just the diversity of art, and it goes on round the corner. But if you guys can make it, it's open until the 23rd of August this year. So a little bit of a taster of what to expect. That's my guy again. That you can see the full painting this time round. And for me, it's definitely that piece about continuing the legacy. And I've said it all the way through. Look, if you can donate £1 or $1, that's really cool. It all adds up. We've got a saying here at one of the TV supermarket adverts is every little helps. That's cool. And even if you can't donate, what I'm saying to people is if please just share the link, because you might share it with someone who can donate or is interested in the arts and can do something with it. So, the man behind the eyes, he's no longer with us, but I'm like, you know what? I'm sure I can do something to keep that legacy alive. I'm sure, and it made me laugh as well. I was born in Kennington in South London, which is quite an unusual place to be born, I think. And it turns out me and Bernie have the same roots. He started off life in Kennington in South London as well. And this man here, the guy who was going to out Banksy and got all the death threats, his name is Mason Storm, and he's the one who created it. And he didn't go to traditional art school, which I cannot believe when you look at the beauty and the detail of the painting. And when Colin told him that I was going to be doing the crowdfunding, number one, he said he was really happy about it, gave his blessing, and in response to that he sent me his biography that I can then start using in association with that as well. So if you want to read that, that's on my blog. That's a blog that I wrote, so you can read the whole thing there on the blog. But you know, this is the GoFundMe page. The share buttons are there, the tweet button is there. 18 shares. I'd love to see that number, you know, I'd love to see everything on this page with some extra zeros on it now, if I'm really honest. But yeah, so that's because somebody was saying, what's this thing you're doing with crowdfunding? How did that come about? I'm like, it came about because I'm sometimes crazy, and I'll say yes to crazy stuff and then think about how to do it later. So yeah, that's how it came about. Let's see, let's come back to me. So that's how it came about. That's what it's all about. I haven't got very long in order to kind of deposit together for the painting. And I think that's why it feels like a roller coaster, because it almost feels like there's no time. I'm running out of time. It's just what I know. I don't lie. My brain's like, don't lie. You don't think you know. I know. I don't often ask people for anything. I'm pretty self-sufficient. I'll sort stuff out. I'm normally the person that's doing the giving, because that's my work, that's my job. It's not a complaint or anything like that. That's what I do. I'm kind of the go-to girl if something's not working, if something needs sorting out, if you need a bit of help, if you need a bit of advice, then I'm the person people would come to. And by the same token, a lot of the times there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing and giving out for free. You know, there's a free resources page on my website. I ran a free teleseminar for some of the people on my e-newsletter list today. Actually, for those of you who signed up as my guest for the HUNA Higher Self Therapy teleseminar, the replay is now up. So have a listen, let me know what you think. And those of you who are on it live, you know, continue to let me have your feedback, but it was amazing. So I'm doing a lot of stuff for free already. And so this is one of those rare times that I'm asking for help and that I'm asking for support. And I think one of the things that was a little bit gutting as well is like, oh man, so this is what happens when you ask for help, huh? Only a handful of people respond, and that was a little bit sad as well, I'll be honest with you. And so that's why I say it's been a roller coaster of highs in terms of getting the emails, of lows in terms of looking at the number of people who have participated and looking at the target that I've set and looking at where I'm at. You know, one of the questions I asked of the head of digital for GoFundMe today was about the psychology behind the targets, and do you just put up what you want? And I was explaining to her, in my line of work, if you want something, then put it out there. Don't be going with, oh, I just raised 500 and then raise the target from there. But I said there's a psychological piece then between the target that I put up there, £5,000, and where it's at now. And that's hard. It is. And I haven't yet, I'm in it right now. You know, I'm not doing it with hindsight. This is where I am right this minute. So I haven't yet figured out how to move beyond the feeling of that. Very funny. Sorry, for those of you who coach with me, you'll know I often hear music. I just heard John Bon Jovi in my ear just saying, keep the faith. And maybe that's what it's all about. Maybe it is just about keeping the faith and going, look, if this is a good idea, which I think it is, Colin and I have already spoken about how we can use the painting to continue to generate work for other creatives. And so if I think it's a good idea, if I believe in it, I think it's a good idea to want to help people and, you know, put food on their table and provide them with material, provide them with space, provide them with future gallery space where they can actually show their work. Because as an artist, how do you get out there? And there's a difference, even showing you the painting that I showed you just now, there's a difference between looking at the picture of the painting and then seeing it in real life. I'm looking at it now, it's really nice. Looking at it in real life, it was almost alive. So, you know, being in the and some, oh my god, there's one piece of art everybody's gravitated to it. It's like it's a gold emoji with a kind of a red glitter love heart. It's massive. It must be a good 3 foot by 3 foot. It's £10,000. However, to see a picture of it, you go, oh, that's nice. When you see it in person, it's like, whoa, that's just beyond. And so being able to fund and pay for spaces where people can show their work and have people have that reaction is really, really important as well. So yeah, it's, you know, it's an interesting one, and I'm probably going to do some other just like little video shorts around it in terms of how the journey's going, how I'm feeling about it. I'm not going to, at the moment, it is what it is. I'm like, do you know what? This is a first. You've never done this before. It's a new thing. It might fail. It might succeed. Very funny. I can now hear Whitney, if I fail, if I succeed, at least, yeah. The greatest love of all. So it might fail. It might succeed. I really, 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 really hope it succeeds, because I'm so excited. I guess the word I would actually use is to be a patron, because when I pull this off, this piece of art is going to keep on giving. And from what I've read of Bernie, and from the wonderful tributes people have paid to him, I think there's a really nice piece from Stephen Fry that really kind of touched me. And just seeing the way that people were so devastated at his death, it just feels really lovely to be able to do something to kind of continue that legacy on, even though I never met the guy. I don't even know if I've been to the Gaucho Club, actually. I think I've been to a couple of the functions there or something, but I didn't know the guy. Of course, I'll now never meet the man. And the funny thing about it is, the piece I read to you about his presence and his energy, the man was 5 foot nothing, and I'm not kidding. He was 5 foot straight up. So he was tiny, yet, as I suspected, he had this massive presence and held the space for Soho, which is just crazy. And probably Bernie and I spent quite a lot of time together, because one of my first, well, it's probably, I think it was my second or third job out of university. I used to work for a publishing company called Centaur. If you've read the magazine Money Marketing, The Lawyer, all that sort of thing, they were published by Centaur. I don't know if they still are. And our offices were in Soho, Berwick Street, and we had 4 or 5 different offices dotted about. But that was my area. So Bernie and I probably maybe even have crossed paths once or twice. But yeah, to be able to, number one, it just started with thinking it'll be really lovely to help the artists, because I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to sit there and think, how the heck am I going to pay my mortgage, pay my bills, put food on the table? That's not a nice place to be at all. Wouldn't wish it on anyone. So just be able to help in that respect was lovely. But now it feels like a bigger endeavor in terms of, you know, using the and what you see there is he is old school. He actually sat, because I said, is this just a picture of a guy, you know, a picture of a picture, as it were? And he went, no. I said, oh, did he sit for it? Because back in the day, that's what you did. You sat for your portrait, and he actually sat for this portrait, which is really nice. And when you look at the intricacy of the work, and then look at Mason Storm, the guy who painted it, for me there's a massive juxtaposition between the two of them as well, because Mason is very much about, he paints controversial work, and I've explained more about it in the blog, and the link for the blog is in the description of this video. And he says he doesn't do it to be controversial. He only paints stuff if he knows he can make a genuine point. But when you look at, I don't know how clearly you can see it on the screen, but when you look at the images behind him and the art, and you look at the man in the mask, because that's how he goes around. And it's not just about the death threats, because when you read his biog on the blog, it will blow your mind in terms of the background he's got and the work he's done. But that man painted this gorgeous painting, and so even that is a juxtaposition. But you know, I wasn't, Colin had said to me, oh, Mason will be delighted if you were to do this and crowdfund this and raise money for the gallery in this way, which was lovely. But to have him actually come back and be happy about it and say, here, send her my bio, and get her to put that up as well, that's really nice. So that gives me a nice boost, and I'm still working on the feeling of crushing disappointment as well. And I'll get over myself, of course I will, but that's where it's at the moment. So if you can help, you know, and as I said, £1, and I figured out, I did this crazy equation. I'm like, well, hold on a minute then. I've got 4,845 friends, whatever it is, on Facebook. I've got 2,150 followers. I've got 996 pending friend requests. So if I don't even look at my other social media platforms, I was like, look, if everyone just gave me £1, $1, or whatever your currency is, €1, I'm like, I'm done. Target is smashed in 24 hours. Now, of course, life hasn't been quite that straightforward. And it's not always about donating. I've said to people, look, if you can't donate, please share the link, because you might share the link and somebody who can donate, or somebody who knows somebody who's interested in the arts, might think, actually, do you know what? I'd like to help some artists. I'd like to fund some gallery space. And they might donate and contribute. So it's not just about the money. The money's cool. That's where we're at. We need the money. I need the money. We need the money. The gallery needs the money. Artistic UK needs the money. And if you're not in a position to donate, because I know there have been times over the years where people have sent me links and I'm like, do you know what, dude? Me first. Got my mortgage to sort out. Got my bills to pay. So I love you. And good luck and Godspeed with your cause. I can't do it. So I totally get it. And sometimes it's just not your thing. You're like, why the hell should I give you £1 of my money? So it might not be your thing, but share the link. Share the link. That's all I ask. If you can't donate, if you don't want to donate, that's great. And I've said to people on my list as well, look, I've been running my e-newsletter for, I don't know, 15 years, something like that. I said, look, even if you're not into the arts, but you've, you know, done free teleseminars, come to free workshops, use the free resources page, watch some, nowadays, you know, Facebook Lives, you've watched some of the videos that I put on YouTube. You might want to just think of it as a donation and contribution towards that, if it makes it easier than donating to a load of artists that you might never meet. So, you know, however you want to play it psychologically is good with me. However, you know, if you can donate, I would really, really appreciate it. And it's going to be an interesting one, actually, because I'm always saying to my clients, don't struggle on your own, ask for help. And so I am going to go back and report to them, what does it feel like to go out, do something completely new, outside of your comfort zone, ask for help, and have a tiny response to that? Doesn't feel good. I can't lie to them. So I'm going to have to tell them the dark reality of that it actually feels. I mean, you know, I'll put some words around it as well. But the flip side of it, my dad used to say, he's no longer with us. My dad used to say, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I'm asking, let's see what we get. I'm a long way off the target. I would love to smash it. I mean, ideally, I'd like to raise 20k because there are so many other things we could do. And Colin was saying, well, look, if we exceed this target, what are we going to do with the money? And I said, but you know what, Colin, I've always wanted to create I showed him the tarot cards and I said, I've got an idea for a deck that I want to create. And he's like, brilliant, use some of the money for that. And I said, like, there are, like, my photo reading workshop, I often do like scholarship places. And I said, but Colin, the truth of the matter is, they're not scholarship places. It just means I'm paying for someone to be in the room, because quite often there have been times, you know, I don't do it for free. Minimum is 200. But basically what that means is that money comes into me, I hand it straight out. And actually, once I add in all of the extras that people get, I'm paying for people to be in that room. So I said, although I sometimes do scholarship places and, you know, let people come to workshops free of charge if they can't afford it, but I think they could do with the help, I says, none of that is real scholarship. It just means I'm paying for them, or it's coming out of my pocket. And so I said, I'd probably actually have a proper scholarship fund as well. So, you know, we talked about a load of ideas and things we would do. And so I'm excited about it from that respect. And I think, thanks, John, Mr. Bon Jovi's back about keep the faith. I think I've just got to keep the faith and trust that it will find the right people, and it will land in such a way that they go, do you know what, I could donate to that. £5, £10, £1, $1. Wouldn't it be just cool to have a patron goes, I'll give you £1,000? Because I think I'd feel better when I break the £1,000 mark. I feel like I'm going somewhere. But yeah, we'll see. So I'm going to try and resist making it the first thing I do tomorrow to look at the target and look at the emails. Because if it feels like it did today, it's not a brilliant way to start the day. But yeah, we'll see how we go. So thank you so much for watching. thank you so much to those of you who have donated, because that was the high to counteract the low. And with the yin and the yang, that does truly bring a sense of balance. Because I'm getting, you know, those are coming in individually, so you get that, oh good, that I guess that dopamine hit, if you want to put it that way. So thank you to everyone who has donated. Thank you to everyone who has shared the link. I really appreciate it. It's not just about the money, it's also about spreading the word. So yeah, thank you for participating, and thank you for watching. And if you are watching this and you're watching it in real time rather than actually it'll be really nice if you're watching this a couple of years later. It would be brilliant to say to you, yeah, raise the money and here's the latest project and thing that we've created as a result of this image. Because of course, once I own it, I own the image as well. And with Mason Storm on board anyway, we've got some ideas for stuff that we could do in collaboration, which would just require his signature. He doesn't have to do any heavy lifting. But people always like signed copies of things from, you know, source. And so we got some cool ideas. And the first phase is to get my hot little hands on the picture, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to breathe. I'm going to do what John Bon Jovi says. I'm going to keep the faith. And I'm going to continue to share it and see if I can come up with creative ways. And actually, I might even see if I can contact a couple of celebrities who were, you know, gutted when he died, and see if they might want to help me out as well. That would be really cool. No idea how to get involved in touch with them. I'm not sure it's as well. It could just be as easy as tweeting them. We'll find out. So yeah, here we go. Hold on for a fast ride. And actually, roller coasters can be exhilarating. So maybe the first thing I'll do is do a shift in mindset and do a classic reframe, as we call in NLP terms, so that I can stay the course. So, you know, thank you for watching. Feel free to share the link, and lovely if you can donate as well. That would be just absolutely awesome. So yeah, I will catch you later. Okay, bye bye.